Hi guys, are you doing Ironman Cork this year? If so, this is the video for you because I'm going to go through some course specific hints and tips. I'm going to talk through what equipment is the best for the course. I'm going to talk through some nutrition, hydration advice, and a little bit about the key sessions you need to nail to be prepared for August 20th this year. So let's get to it. Okay. As I said, key course hints and tips, some equipment recommendations, what your training will look like, nutrition, hydration, and some other considerations you should be looking at in the next month to make sure you're prepared for the day. Okay, so who am I? My name is Stephen Moody, or Coach Steve. My athletes know me. I am an Ironman U qualified coach. I've got the t-shirt and everything. I was voted Triathlon Ireland Coach of the Year. I've been coaching for 15 plus years, been racing Ironman distance for 20 plus years. So know what I'm doing, know what I'm talking about. And I've actually put a number of athletes through Cork over the last 2 years, a couple of Kona qualifiers, a couple of world champ qualifiers. So I know the course, I know how to get the best out of it. So hopefully I can help you with this, with your preparation. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the course. It's quite a specific course, not as hard as a lot of people will say on the forums, which you'll be delighted to hear. But there's some specifics to it that we can help you prepare with. The swim course, it's a one loop course in the sea. You will start on the promenade. They will line you up here in your corrals. For those who don't know, Ironman swims are your self-seed, so you will be giving you will be asked to get into a kind of a corral which for your time. So if you think you're going to swim under an hour, you go in with that group and there'll be little signs showing you where to go. First bit of advice is seed yourself correctly. A lot of people think that they have to get in first because they're nervous about missing the cutoff time. That's not the case. Your chip time will start when you get into the water, not when the cannon goes off. So your cutoff times are not affected. And if you put yourself in the wrong corral, as in with a lot of the really strong swimmers, they will swim over you. If you're a nervous swimmer, if you're a weak swimmer, put yourself at the back in where you would typically swim and we expect to swim. So if you're going to swim 2-minute 30 pace, you put yourself in the corral there. Okay. So another little tip, it is a little bit rocky when getting in, so don't run in, take your time getting in, as in you don't want to bang your toe because that's going to make for a very difficult bike and run later on. But when you're in the water, you will turn up away from the lighthouse. And this typically is the hardest part of the swim because you're swimming a little bit against the current, typically at that time in the morning. So the first 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters will be the harder part of your swim. But the good news is when you get to the turnaround point, and there will be buoys marked out here, when you turn around, you get a lot more assistance on the way back. For the majority of the 3.8K swim, you get a bit of a push. Do kind of use your sighting points up here. There's some buildings up here. Sighting points are where you pop your head out and look and make sure you're going in a straight line. It's kind of easy on the way out because you also make sure you're parallel to the coast. But there's some buildings up here that are quite colorful. Just make sure you do that. Check that out in your swim recce the day before. Turn around on your way back here, and there's sort of again colorful buildings on this side or big trees that you should aim for. And then you're aiming for the lighthouse on the way back here. The tide will be quite strong coming in here, so be careful not to overshoot, because this is what the final point where you come out and the volunteers will be there, and there'll be buoys that you aim between the middle of. If you go too far out, you can actually miss the actual exit point and have to swim back a bit. So make sure you're aiming directly in. The sighting point there is the big yellow building that's beside transition. That is very, very obvious and very easy to sight off. And when you're that's the main kind of part. If you're a nervous swimmer as well, there'll be lots of buoys. If you're nervous about a bit of physical contact, which can happen in Ironman races, go wide at the buoys. The fastest point get around a corner is literally a straight line through it, but that's where the faster, stronger swimmers will go. If you're nervous of getting bumped into and all the rest, go wide, and it may take a little bit more time, but you won't get dunked and all the rest. That's just an easy swim tip. Draft and sight as much as possible. I've talked about the sighting points there. Drafting is when you kind of get on someone's feet, as in they break a little bit of the aqua resistance as well. It makes it a bit easier. You will be set in groups of 5, as typically Ironman, they'll line you up and the volunteers will let you in every 5 seconds. So it is harder to do, but if you can, it saves a bit of energy for you for the bike and the run. So do try that. When you're transitioning, you will run up it's a kind of a concrete ramp. Take your time, don't bang your toes. It'll be a little bit sore underfoot. When you're coming out, kick your legs a little bit harder than you would normally, because that helps the blood flow get down to your legs, and so you don't feel dizzy when you transition from being horizontal to vertical. Transition areas here, you'll be routed around into the big tent where you will grab your blue bag, and which is very specific to Ironman, and then there's a changing tent there, and then you go to where your bikes are racked. In terms of the bags I've mentioned there's very, very specific rules for Ironman and 70.3 bags, that you have blue bags which have your swim to bike stuff. So you have your helmet in the blue bag, and that's where you put your wetsuit, etc. I talk about how that works in another video. I don't want to waste too much time going into that. You're more interested in course details. I'll put the link to that video in the comments below. Okay, so that's it. You've now had a smashing swim, and now you're out. You've transitioned through, and you're on the bike, and you'll be heading up this direction. We'll talk a little bit about the bike course. Okay, so Cork is a 2-loop course, so you do 2 loops of 90k. It's a very specific course. A lot of people who haven't actually done the course will say it's very hilly. It's not the hilliest course in the world. It does have a very specific milestone in Windmill Hill, but we'll talk about that in a second. But in terms of how the course will pan out for you in lap 1 and lap 2, the first 10k out of Youghal is mainly good service. There's nothing really of potholes. There's no major corners or hills. There's a minor climb at around 17k, so just gear down, get ready to go up that. It's short and sharp. You don't need to be getting out of the saddle for that much. There is a sharp corner at around 21k. It's around this part of the course, so just be careful of this. By the way, quick tip on how to remember all this: write all this info down, as in where the aid stations are, where the climbs are, where the sharp turns are, on a piece of paper, and stick it to your stem of your bike so you can always look down. 35 to 40. Sorry, people in Youghal, there's no other way of putting it. It's shit. It's the most potholy part of the road. Now, to be honest, the Cork people in Youghal County Council have done a really good job of fixing major potholes in advance of the race. But this is it's in shit, as in there's not an awful lot they can do with it. Just be prepared. A little bit of rattling. Make sure your bottles are secured. Make sure you accept that this will just be for a short period of time. The 40 to 50 is the best part of the course, in my opinion. You're right beside the waterway. The road surface, it's pristine. It's been recently surfaced. Must be a TD that lives down there. But it's beautiful. It's time for getting perfect on the aero bars. It's just nice, flat and fast. Okay. Coming out of Middleton, there's some rumble strips. So again, a little bit juddery. So just be prepared for that. Maybe time to come off the aero bars, hold on to the hoods of your handlebars, and just take it easy going out of there. There's the long drag from Middleton for an 8k. Now it's around, I'd say 3-4% elevation, but it just seems to go on. It's nothing that will burn out your legs if you get in the right gear. But just be prepared for it. And if you don't realize it's going to be as long as it is, it can be quite soul destroying. But it's 8k. It's not going to kill your legs. It's not a mad climb. Just get into a nice rhythm, sing a song in your head, whatever you need to do to keep moving. 73k. There's another back corner that's just around there. There will be marshals or flags, but there's no harm in knowing this beforehand, so you're not tearing down at 100 miles an hour and then you have to start slamming on the brakes. If you know this is coming, just means you can prepare yourself and get into the right gear, start feathering the brakes. Feathering is just gently touching them rather than slamming on. Then the last 15k back into Youghal, It's rolling, as I said, so but it's no major climbs. They're just little undulations, and you can get into a nice rhythm. Sort of go up, was it drop down gears, then get into it, and just keep going. And a bit of a drag into Middleton, okay? But then we come into the good stuff. Windmill Hill. Everyone's seen the video. You know what it is. It's around 400 meters of a climb, of which it starts quite gradually, and then it builds up to a peak of around as 40 to 50 meters of it's where around 20% gradient. So it is a tough bit of climbing. And the way it works is you're coming in from a laneway, so you can't have just a massive sprint into it and just use momentum all the way, because you're coming in from the side, you're coming along a laneway. You'll hear the noise. The crowd are out there, and they're brilliant. They're all cheering, and it's hairs in the back and the next stuff. The crowd do an amazing job. But you're coming in. I advise you start gearing down, swoop around, try to lose as little momentum as possible, but accept that you are coming around onto a sharp right turn. Just get into the gear and start climbing up as best as you can. You will need a strategy for it, because it is something that can burn out people's legs. And you'll need 2 separate strategies, because you're going to do this twice. The 70.3 guys just need to worry about this once. You are going to do it second time. What I advise people, if they're not a good climber and they're not comfortable, get up as far as you can, and then gently come off the bike, and then walk the rest of it. You'll see a lot of people doing it, and again, people will shout at you, worry, but even there, you're just getting up it. What you don't want to do is bust a gut, burn out your legs, put yourself a massive lactate debt, and then also fall over and bang your knee, as in you've got a marathon coming up. So if you're not comfortable on that, as I said, just plan to get up as far as you can, and then go up. And also be aware of everyone's going to be weaving, so it's not as if you can do that as well. It can get quite congested. Know what you're going to do in advance. Don't try to make this up halfway. You're going to be in 2 minds. If you're going to come up and walk up it, which lots of people do, some of the pros did, off you go. If you're an Uber climber, you love this stuff, get out of the saddle, grind up that bad boy. A tip for the first loop, by the way, is when you're coming in along that laneway, ditch your water. Empty all your water bottles out. You don't need that extra weight. There is an aid station coming through you all that you can just replenish there. The second loop, again, are you strong enough to do it the second time? If you did climb the first time, do you want to save your legs a little bit for the run? Your call, but know your strategy, and just be ready to execute. Overall, it is a brilliant bike course. As I said, these are the points in where you have your little crowd appreciation moment. But again, that's how it's going to be. 2 loops, plan it. And make sure you have your fueling strategy right. We'll talk a little about that in the next slide, in the next few slides, about what that might look like. But it's key you keep on top of that. Transition advice, again, it's the Ironman specific bag rules. This is a red bag. When you've done your 2 loops and you come in, you'll transition here again, and you'll be getting a red bag, of which you'll need to transition into your run gear. Again, check out that video for how that works in practice. Run course. The run course is, by the way, guys, if this is useful, if you're finding this information useful, please subscribe, because they'll be doing another couple of videos on Cork in the lead up about how to prepare your mental game, how to prepare your race strategy, how to prepare for taper, and like it, please, because then I know it's actually working. Right, back to the key stuff. Run course. It is a pancake flat run, as you can see, right? It is, but it's 4 loops through the town. So it's essentially 4 by 10k loops, and there's the dog leg at the start and at the end, which brings you up to the extra 2k. So it is your 42k run. You're not getting away easy. It goes through the town. This part here is incredibly well supported. You're going through under the bell tower. You're going was it along the coast and all the rest. It's everyone's cheering, every roar. It's great fun. This is a little bit lonely when you're heading out towards a roundabout, but again, there'll be lots of other people out there suffering with you. But in terms of course, it's nice. The crowd make it an absolute a cracking event in the middle. What I recommend for people doing the marathon is break it into 7 kilometer blocks, because otherwise it's very mentally challenging. Oh my God, I have to run a marathon and my legs are fried. Right, the first 7k loop, all you're about is conserving energy. Hold back. You might feel great in in terms of the event, and you go, look, I feel like I've nailed a 3.8 swim, I've 180k bike, I've done Wimble Hill twice, I am on fire. Hold back. That you're on a little bit of adrenaline, and that will wear off. The second 7k kilometers, ease into your rhythm. Start to hit your target race pace, which you will practice doing during your long runs. Get into rhythm. Make sure you're hitting the aid stations. Aid stations are roughly every 2 kilometers, and never miss one. Even if you're taking a bit of water, if it's hot, put it on your head. If it's taking a bit a gel, if you're taking a bit of food, something salty to keep to mix up the hydration and the nutrition, never miss one. And because there's one every 2 kilometers, you don't need to carry an awful lot of food with you. I see people with these big water bottles and big heavy kind of race belts. Why bother? It's a way of getting money back from Ironman. In fairness, you pay them enough for the entry fee. The 5th lap onwards, this is where it typically really hurts. This is where you see the people walking. This is where you see people kind of struggling a little. This is where the mental game comes in. It becomes very important. And again, I'll talk about this in another video around 2 weeks out from Ironman Cork. But it's where you dig in, which is where you use your mantras. You start visualizing. You start looking for sources of inspiration. It will hurt. 6th and the last 7k chunk. You're doing the maths in your head. It's only 10k. It's only 7k. I wouldn't even do that for a training run. I've done so much more than this. And you just dig in. You feed from crowd energy, and you hit the crowd. Start high fiving the crowd and all the rest. The finish line is absolutely brilliant. The crowd are absolutely mental. Even the days the day it was a washout the first year, the crowd were fantastic. Again, feed off that. So again, I've talked a little bit of pacing. Feed off the crowd energy. Never miss an aid station. Have your finish line moves ready. And when you go up, you'll see a lot of people kind of looking down, and this is their finish picture where they're stopping their Garmin, and you get a picture of the top of the head. You've trained for months for this. You want a good finish line picture. You want that bad boy framed up on the wall, showing off to your colleagues. Look for the camera. Garmin will give you time afterwards. Sorry, your time will be chip timed anyhow. Get over the line, lie down, and then pause your Garmin. Okay, that's your course. We're now going to talk a little bit about what the best equipment is for this course. It's quite specific. Remember, guys, if this is useful, subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you very much. Okay, so swim, wetsuit swim, it definitely will be, which will help kind of the weaker swimmers because there's buoyancy in there. You'll need your goggles, your swim hat. There is also, bring 2 swim hats because you can put one on underneath to keep your head warm, and then the goggles on, and then anchor with the Ironman swim hat, which you have to wear. It also keeps your head a little bit warmer. Tri-suit I put in bracket in kind of highlight there. Do you wear a tri-suit, or do you change into full set of cycling clothes, full set of running clothes? There's pros and cons to each. Again, there's a video I have which I put in the comments which show you the pros and cons. But in a nutshell, if you're a newbie and you're nervous and you're not chasing a time, it's actually just as well to do a complete change. You'll be more comfortable, it'll be drier, etc. as you go along. Bike. Time trial or road bike. Now, for those who don't know, a TT is a time trial. Is a more aggressive bike. It's more, you're down on aero bars and you're up higher, etc. They're faster. They're a little bit more hard to navigate and to climb with. And there's always a debate: is Cork a time trial course, which normally is reserved for like kind of flatter courses, with good road surfaces, or is it a road bike? Road bike has the advantage of it's a little bit more comfortable, a little slower, but easier to climb with. My advice is, if you have a time trial bike, use it. Cork has a lot of flat parts in it. The climbs are overrated in the forums. Yes, Windmill Hill will be a little bit more difficult on it, but that is only for whatever 2-3 minutes till you get up that bad boy. If you have a road bike and you've practiced on it and get some clip-on aero bars, it will be useful. Is when you're down aero, you're faster. Helmet, shades and socks. These are other things you'll need. By the way, guys, definitely wear, and this is my top tip to any Ironman newbie experienced, always have a spare pair of 2 sets of dry socks, one in your run bag, one in your bike bag. Your feet will need to be dry because otherwise you get blisters, and it's something quite comforting. Taking drying your feet, putting on a pair of socks. Race belt, hydration, nutrition setup. We'll talk about that later. Run. Runners, obviously, Loctite laces. For those who don't know, I'm going to put a little video up of what that means. Essentially turns your runners into kind of a pair of slip-ons, etc. Hat, visor, shades, socks. Big fan. And the race belt will be, you've already had that as well. And your nutrition. As I said, though, there's loads of aid stations in Cork. Try to get some money back out of Ironman. Load up with Morton gels. Post-race, change of clothes. Way of contacting your family. Don't worry about food or anything. There's a big, massive tent where there's everything and sundry, savory, sweet food. By the way, you'll probably not want to eat anything. Your body's in a bit of shock from all the stuff you've done to it. But there you go. So again, I put the video in the comments about what should I wear and what the options are and what the pros and cons. I talk a little bit of Loctite laces. I show you how fast they are and the considerations. I definitely advise, if you haven't started using them, get them now and start practicing them. It's very useful. Right. Okay. Your next 28 days training. I'm going to talk a little bit about what what should be happening for you, and hopefully your training is going on track. You're 4 weeks out, right? So really what you're hitting is your peak training load and what we call the build phase. Build is where you're practicing a lot of race specific skills. You're hitting kind of top loads, etc. You should have race pace sessions, like in base period, where you're building your aerodynamic foundation, your fitness, etc. It's all very kind of gentle, easy stuff building in the miles. Whereas now you're looking towards the race, so you're sort of going and adding a little bit of speed work, etc. What does this mean discipline-wise? Open water swimming is key at the moment. Get your wetsuit out, get out there. And also the maximum swim distance you'll do is in the taper. I'll talk about what taper is in a moment. You don't do it kind of in the next 2 weeks, probably in the next 3-4 weeks, just to help balance the training load. You should be hitting the bike distances of 160 to 180k on your long bikes. Mainly, that's the sort of distance you need to build up. Also, kind of a good psychological milestone when you hit 180k bike. Running wise, you should max out in your long runs around 26, 28, 30 maximum if you're kind of a more experienced triathlete. Long runs, you do not need to be hitting a marathon distance because that just fries your legs. You get also aerobic gains from the other bikes, midweek runs, etc. In terms of the bricks, as in a run straight off the bike to actually track this, you're transitioning from cycling to running. I will for my guys, I will limit that to 5Ks maximum off the bike, because otherwise I end up possibly risking an injury. And people go, oh, but it's adequate. It's more than adequate. I've got a lot of people who have finished Ironman. A lot of people have won their age group, who've gone to Kona, etc. Trust me on this. What you're trying to do at this stage is avoid injury while building up those level of fitness and level of speed that you can nail it on the day. Good. Other key things you need to be doing in the next couple of weeks are fine-tuning your nutrition, hydration strategies. What are you going to eat, when you're going to eat, how you're going to eat. I'll talk about that in this next slide. And also you're looking at your equipment. If you're going to be using aero bars for the first time, you need to be using your them on the long rides. If you're going to be using a front hydration, one of those little torpedo bottles where you're going to drink as you're cycling on your long bikes, you need to practice that. You need to work with, if you're using a power meter, how is that going to work with your cycling computer, etc. Let all the silly niggly things and the errors happen now, rather than on race day when you go, my God, my power meter is not talking to my computer. You should have learned that beforehand and fixed it beforehand. Right, so I pulled this from one of my beginner plans to kind of give a flavor. This will be the peak week. It's a 36-week plan. So this should be, if you were training with me, sort of typically what you would be looking at. And this would be the week of the 31st of July. As we discussed, kind of you'll have some open water swim sessions. I have them in the other set. But you're doing a lot of endurance work, some race pace work. As I said, in the taper, you'll hit more of the kind of the peak swim distances. Bike wise, as you can see, you're going to hit a 180 key milestone here in the bike. You'll have some race pace distance effort, so you're not going to be going out 180k and trying to simulate. You'll do probably, say 40K at race pace, and then rest for a bit, and another 40K, and the rest will just be easy. You will be doing some midweek strength. I've added this in here. As I said, windmill hill is quite specific, so you should be doing some hill repeats on something that's going to be hard gradient. So that could be replace that there. Run wise, as I said, you're going to be doing you don't overload the runs in the final peak week, because again, run is the biggest risk of injury to you. But as I said, this guy's going to be doing a 28K long run with I suspect that's 18K at race pace, and again, he'll be doing his nutrition, or he'll be doing nutrition, etc. The brick 5K off it. That's another. Those are two key sessions there in the peak week. A little bit of recovery run, and you get an extra rest day, because that's a lot of work over the weekend, and you will have done another heavy weekend beforehand leading up to that. There you go. All right. So 2 weeks out, this is when we talk about the taper period. Tapering is when we actually ease off the volume and the intensity to allow your body to recover and be ready race day. You don't clobber your body just to the very last minute and hope that it'll bounce back. You actually give it up to around 2 weeks of taper to allow your energy levels refresh, etc. Volume will drop to 50 to 60%, possibly add in more rest days, just keeping ticking over. There's lots of people go, oh, they'll do the extra time. Oh my God. No, you need to, there's stuff to be doing. You need to familiarize yourself with the athlete guide. There's logistics you need to nail down, etc. We'll talk a little about that in the next slide as well. Logistics and packing and travel, etc. This is a funny period of time for athletes, as in a lot of them lose their marbles because they've been training for so much and they feel that they're losing fitness, etc., etc. We call this taper madness. I'm going to do another short video on this in 2 weeks out, so make sure you subscribe so you'll get that video, because there's specific things you'll go through that every single Ironman newbie experience goes through it, and there's ways of dealing with it rather than actually ending up chucked out of house by your partner. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll go through that in a little bit more detail. Again, I want to keep on the kind of actual course specific stuff. Here's the one of the taper weeks. As I said, you'll have a kind of a big swim set here. You'll have probably a couple more recovery, but it's light. As you can see, you're allowing your body, you're taking lions, you're just doing easy miles, you're doing recovery spins, just to let the body recover and not feel guilty about it. Okay. All right. Nutrition and hydration. Another key thing that you need to be thinking of now, because you're going to need to start fine-tuning this in the next 2 weeks. Why is it important? Big long day at the office, and every one of these races needs a nutrition or hydration plan. Again, I tried to explain to my niece and nephews, can you imagine going for 12, 14 hours in a normal day without eating? Well, add that a lot of exercise on. You need the calories, and a lot of them. If you don't have a plan, you're essentially setting yourself up for failure. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail, yada, yada. Okay, so athletes, I say, what should I eat? Now, the marketing guys who are selling marketing stuff will tell you, you need to eat my stuff because this is the only thing you'll get you through an Ironman. Absolute bollocks. It's very individual, and that's why everyone has to test what they're going to eat and work it out, because what will work for me may not work for you, but that's good. As in, like, I also tell guys, if there's something you like eating and you get the right calories out of it, eat that. Gentle warning though, when you do this for an Ironman, you eat so much of it, you'll never like it again. I personally can't eat Jaffa cakes ever again. So, but the rule of thumb is here, you're looking to get around whatever 70 carbs per hour. Again, the range is there because people who are going to be out longer will need more. People who have a higher BMI need more just because the metabolic rate is higher. But for me, you need around 300 calories per hour from multiple carb sources. So what does that mean? For example, I use Cliff Blocks. By the way, not sponsored by these guys. Well, if they are, they can send me a big free box. That'd be cool. So when I work out my strategy, I know that there's 6 Cliff Blocks in here. I also know that there's there around 30 calories per Cliff Block, so roughly 180 calories in this fella. By the way, I eat this because they're easy to chew, and they're easy in my stomach, and they're very easy to store. As in, I can take this open, I can put it in the top chew bar, and it's very easy to pop into my mouth. So should I eat? I'm going to be out on the bike for 6 hours, and so I should have roughly, was it 1,800 calories? So that would mean I need to eat essentially 10 packets of these. Am I going to do that? No, because actually I did try it once and I ended up completely bunged up. Your body needs different sources. You need different ways of stimulating kind of our standard digestive processes, and like chewing, releasing enzymes, etc. If you keep on just chucking these lads in or chucking gels in, you're going to bung up the body. So for me, I'll eat kind of half this. I'll know what an aid station is. I'll take a banana, or I'll take something that's on offer, and that will also stimulate my whole digestive process and keep it. But I'll be aware that I'll have enough of these lads on the bike or stored on my back of my tri-suit that they're there, but I will mix it up. Drinking wise, what should I drink? Again, very individual, but you do need to mix it up. You need to test it. So you're not going to drink, was it 2 gallons of Coke on the day? You're not going to drink 2 gallons of ISO in the day, or water. You need to have a mixture of all of them, because you're looking for different things. You're looking, because the water, again, we just need that to start flushing things through the system, but we also need ISO or a sports drink to replenish electrolytes, sodiums, etc. Because as you're sweating, you're excreting these. And if you just drink water and excrete all of these, you will end up cramping because you don't have enough electrolytes, sodium in your body. Coke is good because it's just pure sugar, and it's advise using that on the run part. I advise people drinking early and straight out of T1, because you will be dehydrated after the swim anyhow. And again, aim for around, was it 30 hours of or around 700, 800 milliliters per hour. Don't worry, you don't have to carry all your water bottles with you, because the aid stations are well stocked and you need to build them into your plan. So you will be able to replace bottles. And there's a way of doing that. You're coming in, there's a bin station as such. You chuck your bin there. The water bottles will fit into standard water cage. You can put that in, or if you have a front mounted hydration system, you can empty it into the system and then chuck it. Make sure you don't chuck outside of the litter area, or else you'll end up getting DQ'd, which would be harsh. How should I drink? How should I eat? Sounds a bit daft. I'm not telling you how to digest, but there is a particular skill that, again, if you're thinking, you're not going to stop every time you need to eat, because you'll be stopping kind of every 20 minutes or so. You need to practice about how the food is carried. Is it in a top tube bag? Is it in the back of your tri-suit or cycle gear? How will you transport it? And how will you get it from where you're transporting it into your mouth with the minimum disruptions? You can do it on the move. So this is something you need to practice as you're going along. So if now you've decided you are going to use Cliff Blocks, not sponsored, I swear, that you will how you're going to unwrap them, put them in the top tube bar, and when you're due to eat it, that you reach in and just simply put it in your mouth. Again, simple practice comes second nature. As I said, I've talked a little bit about aid stations as well. If the stuff that you want to pick up as well, that's build that into your strategy. As in, if you're taking energy bars, where are you going to put it? You're going to put it in the back of your cycle gear and your top tube bar. Make sure there's space there already. Oh yeah, there's if you're interested, I'm going to put short in the corner, which is a top tip for more kind of how to front load your nutrition. Work for some people, will not work for everyone. I'll put it down there and check it out. It's quite a unique approach. When should you eat? Again, this needs to be practice in your long runs and long rides, and you have to get it. It's such a habit, because what will happen on the day for a lot of newbies, you're out and you're coming out and the crowd are cheering you, and there's crowds and there's people going, it's all very exciting, and you go, wow, brilliant. And then you look down and you're an hour into the bike going, ooh, I'm a bit peckish, I haven't eaten. At that stage, you've exhausted a lot of your glycogen stores, your energy, and you need to be topping this up all day. So people either schedule this by was it either distance or time. So for me, I do it every 10 kilometers on the bike, because I like that, because when I'm kind of hit 10 kilometers, I know, okay, grand, that's more in the bank, a little reward. There you go. Other people like it just to be time because they might be a little bit slower, etc., and they want to get the fuel on board. It's your strategy. You need to practice as well, but do it by one of these variables that you can control a little bit more rather than hunger or thirst, because when you're hungry or thirsty, you're a little bit late. The Tour de France. Eat before you're hungry, drink before you're thirsty, put something on before you're actually cold. Set up Garmin alerts to make sure that you actually kind of keep to this. I put a video down below as on how to do that. So your Garmin has all those cool features that you can, for drinking and eating, you can set it up that it'll go beep, eat, and it'll flash up. And then you go, okay, grand. Okay, so key takeaways. Do have a strategy. Practice it and trial and error. Don't believe what, if someone tells you definitively, you have to eat this or else you will fail, they are talking complete crap. You need to try what works for you. As I said, Cliff Blocks for me, Nutrigrain bars, Honey Stinger bars, fig rolls, dates are all things I've used at different Ironmen, and it's worked perfectly. But I needed to find what that was. There's a lot of other things that I've tried that got chucked out the window because it didn't work. Work it, trial it. Think about, as I said, how I'm going to carry it, how I'm going to eat it, how I'm going to replace it, how I'm going to eat it, etc., etc. Okay. I go through in a little bit more detail. If you're interested in the whole science of that, I have a whole video on race day nutrition, but this video should be enough to actually get you up to speed on it, and work out your strategy. I do, again, the video, how to set up the alerts on your Garmin. It's a top tip. Okay. Alrighty. Whew. Hope that, again, is helpful. Other things to consider. We're going to talk planes, trains, and automobiles. Those aren't pillows. Could be lost in a lot of millennials. If you haven't seen the movie Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, do watch it. It is an excellent view, and it's one of John Candy's finest work. But anyhow, back to Ironman stuff. There's lots of stuff to be organized. As I said, we'll talk about this in a little taper video. But what you want to do is minimize your stress in the last couple of weeks coming up to your Ironman. So you don't want someone to go talk to your training buddy. Okay, so where are we staying? Oh, hang on. I thought you were sorting out the accommodation. No, I thought you. Oh. Check logistics now. Verify if you're flying in, what's your flight? If you're in a hotel, what's your booking? If you're an Airbnb, if you're coming in, how are you getting there, etc. Sort out now. Have a travel plan. Have a little mini plan. You will have been religiously following a plan or instructions from a book, from a planning pal. Some great training plans on Training Peaks from Coach Steve, by the way. Slight plug. Bit late for this race, but check me out for next year. But now, don't forget, don't let that fall to pieces. There's still things you need to do. You need to check in your bike at some point. You need to check out the swim course. You need to kind of check out the road surface. You need to do your leg stretching, etc., etc. Make sure you have time to do that, and just build it out for the last couple of days. Don't let it slide this close. Eyes on the prize. Key tip as well for what you call the in taper. Book in a bike service, especially if you're in Ireland, because I guarantee you, around 2 weeks out, there's going to be around a couple of thousand people overwhelming the local bike store going, I need to book this in. Book it in now, because you don't want to find out there's a problem with your derailleur, your gear cables that you should have been fixed. You want that thing to be humming come race day. Know what you're packing and planning. We'll talk about that now. Okay. Again, let's think about hitting the like button. Get like a load of views, but not enough likes. There's some great info in here. Let's just like that bad boy. Packing. All right. So you do need to make a separate list for your swim, your bike, and your run. Oh, that sounds like a lot of hard work. Why do I have to do that, Coach Steve? Got you covered. I have a video and a packing checklist. If you click on the link below, it'll email you the checklist, and you just use that. I've used it for whatever the 10+ Ironman I've done. Know what I'm talking about. There are other things as well that are included in the checklist, that you have your ID, photo ID, your quick scan code, which it will come in an email around a week beforehand, your race license, your TI, Triathlon Ireland if you're coming from Ireland, your local federation if you're coming from abroad, chargers, suntan lotions, training gear, etc., etc. And by the way, top tip on this, seeing as Ironman Cork had 2 very, very different weather patterns so far, the first year they got washed out. The second year, it was absolutely scorching. No one knows what it's going to be like. So when you're packing, I used to tell my guys it's better to be looking at it than looking for it. So if you're thinking, Ireland, it was very sunny last year, I won't bring any rain jackets. Rubbish. Bring it all. Bring it all, because if you put it in your red bag or your blue bag and you don't need it, that's fine. But what you don't want to be is sort of, oh my God, it's lashing rain. The weather's changed since I got on a swim. I wish I had a rain jacket. Put it in the bag. So take that into your account and your packing. Okay, cool. As I said, there's a checklist. There's got you covered. And that is all you have for the moment. So please, as I said, do subscribe. It's really important. It helps me as grow my channel. Please like. If you have any queries or questions, email info@smartenduranceSolutions.com. I possibly be doing an open Q&A the week of the race. If anybody's interested, if you email me, I'll put you on the mail list, and we'll have a chance to ask me as an Ironman Youth Certified Coach and done this course a couple of times. And that's it, guys. I hope your training goes really well for the next couple of weeks. You're really, really close there. It'll be hard for the next couple of weeks, but eyes on the prize. You've put a lot of work in so far. Just 2 more hard weeks. Taper madness, which we'll talk about in the other video. And then think about the red carpet. Have an absolute great week's training, and best of luck.